Srila Prabhupada's purport. The systematic hearing of the transcendental activities, qualities, and names of Lord Sri Krishna pushes one towards eternal life. Systematic hearing means knowing him gradually in truth and fact. And this knowing him in truth and fact means attaining eternal life as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Such transcendental glorified activities of Lord Sri Krishna are the prescribed remedy for counteracting the process of birth, death, old age, and disease, which are considered to be material awards for the conditioned living being. The culmination of such a perfectional stage of life is the goal of human life and the attainment of transcendental bliss. So, unfortunately, in our modern society today, the ethos of human society is acquisition and egoism. So their goal in life is economic advancement, material advancement for sense gratification. However, Vedavyas, Sukadeva Goswami, he quotes Vedavyas here in the first canto, that dharmasya hi apavargasya nartasya dharmakantasya kamo labdaya hi smitaha, that the goal of human life is apavarga, or moksha, liberation, at least moksha, but in devotional service. So, apavarga. Pavarga comes from 5 roots: pa, fa, ba, baha, and ma. The first is pavitra, means people work really hard. They work hard in life, and they think that's the purpose of life. Work hard. And Rishabhadev says simply, for the pleasures available to the animals that eat stool. Nayam deho deha bhajam niloke kastan kaman. Kastan kaman arhade vidbujamye. You're working hard just for pleasures which are available to the pigs. In other words, you're not much more than a pig. Svavidra hostrakarai samsuta purusha pashu. In the second canto, we hear about the science of self-realization, the process of self-realization. In that chapter, Sukadeva Goswami describes materialistic man, and they're compared to dogs, hogs, asses, and camels. And we know that in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Namam duskritina mudha prapadyante naradhama. So these are the Naradhamas. They're highly educated, they're very advanced materially. They are very proud that they can build rockets and bombs and 747 jets and submarines and all kinds of sophisticated material machines. But they're Naradhama. They're the lowest of mankind. They're condemned as dogs, hogs, asses, and camels. Naham jatu patorpesho svavidvrao hustrakai samsuta purusha pushu nayat karna patopeto jatu nama gadagaja. Their ears are never filled with the transcendental topics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The activities, the form, the beauty of Krishna, his transcendental devotees, his transcendental pastimes in the spiritual world, his beautiful dress, his wonderful relationships with the inhabitants of Vrindavan. These are all described by the great sages and recently by the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan and by our acharyas. They describe these transcendental activities of the Lord, which are actually the cause of purifying one's heart. Cheto Darpanam Arjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kaivarvachavnji Kavitaranam Vidyavadhu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. Everyone's trying to get this pleasure. They're always hankering for the nectar. Everyone's longing for this. But it comes from hearing and chanting about the glories, activities, form, and qualities, and the attributes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. Krishna's pastimes are Nitya Lila, eternal, they're going on. And Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishna Sangopangastra Parshadam. Krishna decides that in Kali Yuga, if I come as Krishna, then we know he has to Vinashaya Chaduskritam, he has to kill everyone. Because everyone's like Jaghai and Made, they're all Yavanas and Malechas. Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasham Bira Shamba Yavanaka Shadaya. They're all low born. Even the so-called Brahmins are eating cows. Yes. All the so-called highest class of people, they're all eating animals and doing all sinful activities. So he comes this age as a very merciful personality. He comes in the mood of Srimati Radharani. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishna Sangopangastra Parshanam. His only weapons are his associates, Nityananda, Awaitacharya, Gadadhar Pandit, and Srivas Thakur. They appear right here in Sridham Mayapur. God himself. So here it's stated that the great devotees of the Lord, they're always happy. Jara Marna Mokshaya Mama Yashanti Upash Yashanti Te Brahma Tad Vidur Te Brahma Tad Vidur Krishnam Adyat Makarma Shak. Anyway, in that verse it's described that Krishna's devotees, because they've always glorifying the Lord with transcendental prose and poetry, Adhyatma Karma Chakilam, that they transcend the modes of material nature, they're transcendental. They become free from this cycle, these fourfold miseries, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. Described by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, the one who recognizes real knowledge, Jara Marana Mokshaya, they become transcendental. They step over the head of death, like Dhruva Maharaja. When death came to meet him, he stepped on his head and entered into the Vipassana, the airplane of the Vaikuntha Padis, and they took Dhruva Maharaj and his mother back to Vaikuntha, stepping on the head. Chamashitaye padapalava plavam mahatpadam punya yashomari bhavam budir yastam padam 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 yad vipadam natesham. That the entire ocean of birth and death is transformed into as much water that can fit into the hoof of a calf. That is the promise of the great acharyas that simply take shelter of Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon. We know that Krishnas took Satyabhama and they went to the abode of Bhaumasura, who had captivated, he put in captive 16,000 princesses. And Krishna came there riding on Garuda with Satyabhama. And Mura came out. This is a very highly fortified fort. There were electric wires, there was poisonous gases, there was a huge moat full of disgusting things and dangerous creatures. And the Mura demon was lying there waiting, guarding the great fort of Bhaumasura. So he came out with his three heads, and he had trident, and he was roaring like a lion. And Krishna, with his arrows, filled his mouth with arrows and killed the Mura demon. So if you take shelter of Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon, then you can go beyond this ocean of birth and death. Go beyond the Viraj river. The Viraj River surrounds the material world and separates the spiritual world from the material world. So, Tyaktva Punar Janma Naiti. One who knows Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yoviti Tatvara. One who knows in truth that Lord Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nanda, the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, the one who is always accompanied by his flute, and who is surrounded by loving devotees, and who engages in extraordinary loving pastimes with his devotees, and who has extraordinary beauty, that is Lord Krishna. One who knows him at the time of death, even a little bit. Prabhupada promised that Krishna will come and take you back home, back to Godhead. That is the promise, the guarantee of Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. Antakale chamameva smaran muktva kalevaram. At the time of death, if we remember the holy name of Krishna. I was there when Srila Prabhupada was departing to the spiritual world. And the final words he said was, Hare Krishna. And he left for Goloka Vrindavan. So that is the success of life. And that is what Srila Prabhupada wants us to attain. It begins with adoshada tata sadhusanga, by having some faith in the practice of devotional service and then associating with devotees. Unfortunately, the majority of the population today, they're simply interested in what they call nescient activities, material activities. Therefore, the Ishopanishad condemns them. Andhatamasa pravishanti ye vedam upashate. That those who cultivate nescient activities, materialist activities, they're simply suffering in this life, and they will suffer so many millions of births in their next life. That is guaranteed. Krishna says to Arjuna, Tanaham dvishata kruran samsareshu naradamam. That the lowest of man, they simply believe that there's no God. There's no need to glorify God. Let's glorify some material person. Prabhupada said that the materialistic people, the people in the mode of passion, they worship a demoniac person like Hitler. They worship someone like Hitler. And so they take birth again and again. Shipamiya jashum ashubama surishu eviyunishu. Krishna says they cast them into lower species of life. Birth after birth after birth. Chintam aparimeyam cha. Pralayantam upashitaha. They think that simply to enjoy their senses until the end of time is the ultimate goal of human life. Therefore, they take birth again and again in the horrible species, lower species of life. That is described throughout the Bhagavad Gita. One who dies in the mode of ignorance. Tata pralinas tamasa mudho jonishu jayate. They took birth in the animal kingdom. That is their predicament in life. So we simply ask people, Lord Nityananda is simply asking, Jaga and Madai, simply asking, there, please chant, just take, I beg you, the only alms I beg you is to take this holy name of the Lord and chant it and come to the point of offenseless chanting. Offenseless chanting means Raganuga Bhakti. When you're spontaneously always remembering Krishna, and when you chant His holy name, you taste the nectar of His holy name. Rupa Goswami says, I can't even imagine how much nectar this holy name possesses. Simply by chanting it, a person who chants it purely desires millions of tongues to chant this name, Krishna. And one desires millions of ears so he can hear the holy name of Krishna. Are we there yet? Nayanam, how's it go? Yugayitam nameshena chakshasha pravishayitam. Shunyaitam jagat sarvam Govinda virahena me. Oh Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm feeling a moment to be like 12 years or more. My tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain. Nayanam galada shudaraya vadanam gadgada hridaya gira. When will my hairs stand on end when chanting the holy name of the Lord? It's there. Krishna's potency is there. Nam namakari bahuda nija sharva shaktis. In the holy name of Krishna, all the potencies of the Lord are there. The entire Goloka Vrindavan is there. Everything is there. In the holy name of Krishna, that is Krishna's potency. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate natatchamascha vyadikascha drusyate. Sarvasya shaktir vividhai vishuyate. Subhavaki jnana bala kriya cha. It says in one of the Upanishads that Krishna is he's omnipotent. He has so many potencies, and all those potencies that he has, creative potency, the potency to take a seed and write all the instructions inside the seed. It's called DNA, instructions. Who put it there? Krishna's unlimited intelligence. And you get a big banyan tree with many, many seeds that produces more millions of banyan trees. He has so much Shakti, infinite Shakti. Therefore, he is known as inconceivable. Achintya guna swarupam govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. He has inconceivable qualities. So that in all the Shaktis that Krishna has, Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is disguised Krishna. He's disguised Krishna. He's put all the potencies, all his potency, without any effort. Natasya karyam karanam chavidya. Without any effort, he's creating trillions of universes. Trillions. And the scientists are breaking their brains trying to figure out what is the origin of the universe. What is the origin of life? They have no clue. They're clueless because they're atheistic. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritaha mudhoyam nabijanati mamebhya paramavyam. He says, no one can know me. They cannot know me. I'm covered by my yogamaya potency. Mudhoyam. He calls them asses, donkeys. Mayapur jnana. Their intellect is stolen by illusion. They have intelligence. But because they're subject to mental speculation, Mayaparita jnana, they think, oh, I can figure it out myself. And the more they try to figure out, the more deeper they go with their instruments, their imperfect instruments, microscopes, Hubble telescope. Mr. Hubble in California has a big telescope trying to find out. I was with Prabhupada in Portland, Oregon in 1972. Portland, Oregon. And Prabhupada was walking through the park and there were some ducks and geese and some frogs. Prabhupada said, frog-like man. He said, what is Mr. Frog saying today? He always was questioning, what are the scientists, what's their latest theory? What is Mr. Frog? He says they're just like frogs in a well trying to measure the entire universe. Like the frog, he's blowing himself up more and more, the size of the well, and then he explodes. So, they cannot know Krishna. Name prakasha sarvasya. They're defeated. Moga shamoga karmano moga jnana vichetistaha rakshashim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shitaha. Krishna says, I destroy them. They meet with defeat. Ba, ba, ma. Pa, ba, pa, pa. So, parabhavas tavada bodha jato. The word pa, ba, comes from parabhavas. Krishna says they get defeated by their intense attempts to enjoy this material world. Their overwhelming attempt to try and figure everything out and control the world and control everything in the world. They meet with parabhavastavada bodha jato yavanna jigyasata atmatadvam. They meet with defeat. They're defeated. because they never inquire, atato brahma jigyasa, what am I, and where does all this come from? And who is the original, who's the fountainhead? They have no idea that the Supreme Personality of Godhead effortlessly is producing all these universes and everything from the pores of his body. They're all coming out, and with their instruments they say, oh yeah, some red shift, there was a red shift, and then the universe is expanding. So they, excuse me, they speculate about the source of the universe. I have to power off. They speculate about the source of the universe. They call it a Big Bang. So they meet with defeat. Mogasha moga karmana moga jnana vichestasa rakshasi masarum chaiva prakriti mohinim shita. They meet with defeat. Pa, fa, ba, and ma. Fanila. Fanila, the word fanila means frothing at the mouth. That the materialistic people, they work hard and they froth at the mouth, just like we see the donkey or the horse. It's pulling heavy loads. And Prabhupada says the donkey is so foolish, mudha, that there's grass everywhere, but his master is giving him grass, the washerman, and he's carrying huge bundles. So like that, the foolish people are working hard, and when we offer them, please take a book about Krishna. Please learn about Krishna. Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of the heart. I'm busy. I'm sorry, I'm very busy. Loba pravitim aramba karmana shamaspriya, mode of passion. Loba pravitim aramba, very materialistic, very greedy. Aramba karmana shamaspriya. They work like asses, trying to get more and more and more. Like race horses, they're running here and there. Prabhupada said they wake up early in the morning and take a train and spend hours on the train, work hard, and then after 8 hours, they go back on the train, go home, and they pay the bills, and they try to enjoy some sense gratification, and they sleep, and then they do it again and again and again. Punat punat charvita charvananam, chewing that which has already been chewed. The animals are struggling to eat, sleep, mate, and defend, and the materialistic human beings are also struggling. Ahara nidra bhaya mutunya. That's it. So here, the advice given by Sukadeva Goswami, and here Sutta Goswami is advising that your whole life should be filled satatam kirtayantumam yatantascha dridavrataha namasyantascha mam nitya nityukti upashite. Always glorifying the Lord with praise. Always glorifying the holy name of the Lord. Katyantascha mam nitya tushanti cha ramanti cha. Deriving great pleasure and satisfaction from Krishna Katha. What is Lord Chaitanya doing during the Rath Yatra festival? We just had Rath Yatra. He's dancing in ecstasy, and he's exhibiting symptoms of love of God. By dancing and chanting, there were 7 groups in the Rath Yatra procession. 3 huge carts, Jagannath, Balaram, and Subhadra. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing in ecstasy surrounded by his devotees. And he became so ecstatic by seeing Lord Jagannath that he went into ecstatic symptoms. He started manifesting ecstatic symptoms of love for Krishna. Although he's Krishna himself, he's tasting the love. He tells Radharani, he sends a message to Radharani that actually tells her, he meets her at Kurukshetra, which is Rath Yatra. He said, my dear Radharani, the inhabitants of Vrindavan are my life and soul. And amongst the inhabitants of Vrindavan, the gopis are the very life of are the very life and soul of me. But you, Radharani, You're most dear to me, and you're the life of my very life. So in this mood, in the mood of Radharani, he's tasting this Mahabhav, this love for Krishna. Prema Pumarta Mahan, the goal of human life, within the soul, within each of us, there is dormant love for Krishna. Prabhupada said the goal of life, your life, is how to love God. That is the best religion, right? Dharma projita kaitravotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. Kicking out all materially motivated religions, the goal of life is the goal of Dharma, how to love God, ahaitukiya pratiyata, yayatma samprasidati, without any interruption and without any drop of motive. No drops of motive, even within the society of devotees. Sometimes we cultivate motives. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. I don't want any followers, I don't want any power. Followers means power, right? I'm the President of the United States, I got lots of power. I'm the President of India, I got lots of Na dhanam, I don't want wealth, I don't want power, followers. I don't want to enjoy sense gratification. Na sundarim, like that. So, that is love of God. So Lord Chaitanya is dancing in front of Lord Jagannath at the Rath Yatra festival, and tears are flowing from his eyes like torrents of rain, like a syringe, and he's showering all the devotees with his tears, and his hairs are standing on end. He resembles a cotton tree which has big thorns on it. So he's experiencing these symptoms of love of God. Perspiration, the pores in his skin are erupting, and blood is sometimes flowing from his body. These are extreme symptoms of love of God, and he wants to give it to you. He wants you to experience this. Sometimes we saw Srila Prabhupada when he came to America one time in Atlanta. He actually went into a trance and became very, very bright, very light. Sometimes Prabhupada, when he was here in Mayapur in the 70s, he was chanting Jai Radha Madhava, and he couldn't carry on. Gadgada. His voice was choked up while chanting the holy names of the Lord. So it's available. Prabhupada is the embodiment of love for Krishna, and he's telling us it's available. Simply have to utsahan nischayat daryat tat karma pavartanat. Sangatyaga suto vrite sadbir bhakti prashishyati. 6 things you need to be: enthusiastic, patient, confident, avoid materialistic association, follow in the footsteps of the great devotees of the Lord. Like these are described by Rupa Goswami, Prabhupada, the father of pure devotional service, father of devotional service. So that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dancing at the Rath Yatra festival and benedicting all his devotees with love of God. And even Maharaj Prataparuja was given his mercy, although he said Maharaj Prataparuja is a pure devotee of the Lord, but externally he seems to be a king with wealth, followers, power, beautiful queens, right? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, when Lord Chaitanya was dancing, he fell down, and Swarup Damodar and Govinda were somewhere else, and Maharaj Prataparuja picked Lord Chaitanya up. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu externally said, oh no, a materialistic person has touched me. This kinchanasya bhagavat bhajanom mukasya param param jigamashur bhavasagarasya. He quoted that verse for someone who's given up this material world to be in association with a materialistic person is like drinking poison, right? It's the most condemned thing. But internally, actually, Lord Chaitanya was very pleased with Maharaj Prataparuja because he had taken a humble position and he was sweeping in front of Lord Jagannath. He became a sweeper. He's a proprietor of the entire province of Orissa. And he's the proprietor of Jagannath Temple. He's a king of Orissa, big man. So many elephants and wealth and gold. And but he was so humble that he said, if I don't get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if I don't get his darshan, if I don't get an interview with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I'm going to give up my entire kingdom. I'm going to become a Kapalika yogi wearing a little conch thing in my ear, and I'm just going to go begging door to door. He was going to give up his entire kingdom, and everyone was freaking out. Lord Nityananda went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and said, it's very dangerous. If you don't have a leader, everything will be chaos. So Lord Chaitanya's heart was melted by the humility of Maharaj Prataparuja. So we have 2 minutes left. If there's any comments or questions, this is the week of the Jagannath Leela and Jagannath pastimes. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, yes? Mishra Narayan Prabhu.
Can you tell us a little more about Prabhupada in Portland, Oregon?
In Portland? That was June of 1972, the first week of June. And we went down to Portland. We're from Vancouver. Dharmatma was there. Rita was there. These are well-known devotees. Rita lives here. So Srila Prabhupada came there to Portland. The temple president was Danavir Swami, Danavir Maharaj. He was then a Grihasta, very charismatic personality. And we were going out in the parks in Portland chanting Hare Krishna. And many, many devotees came. I mean, that was, the whole movement was taking off in 1972. Like so many young people were joining the movement. It was huge amounts. So every day, thousands, hundreds were joining. Practically speaking, tens, 20s, hundreds, I don't know, but a lot. And Prabhupada was like a great hero. The whole thing exploded in 71, 72. Things started really mushrooming. And so when Prabhupada came to Portland, it was just a small house near downtown Portland. It was like an older home that devotees were renting. And so many traveling vans. We used to travel in vans all across the continent, basically across America, distributing, chanting Hare Krishna, and distributing, at that time, more Bhakti Godheads and small books. So when Prabhupada got there to the airport, he seemed to be very, very grave, because even in the beginning of 72, we were focused on chanting for 6, 7, 8 hours a day in the streets and distributing small books and Bhakti Godheads. And we'd chant and a crowd would come around us, like 300 people. And then we'd distribute Bhakti Godheads, and everyone would give us 25 cents. That's how we supported the movement. and invariably, the police would come and arrest us. Invariably. That was part of the Leela. So in Portland also, devotees went out to chant. Prabhupada initiated probably about 30, 40 devotees there. Lots of devotees got initiated there. Yashomati, that lives here, she got initiated there. She was 16 years old, and she was from Montreal. And her friend, another French girl, she was 16 also. She got initiated. I got initiated there. Quite a few devotees. So we would go for walks with Srila Prabhupada in the park. He was there for a few days. And they have a large university in Eugene, Oregon. So Danavir had organized a nice program called Bhakti Yoga, the best form of yoga. And the place was packed. It was a big auditorium on the campus, a very large university, actually, University of Oregon. It's a beautiful, wonderful university. Innumerable young people, thousands and thousands of young people. And they're all open-minded. The state of Oregon is known to be a very liberal state. It's not so narrow-minded, not so many rednecks. So anyway, Prabhupada was speaking. He said, yoga is not for this age, he said. you're not going to really make a lot of progress, pushing your nose and bending your arms and twisting your body, speaking like this. All these young people, Srila Prabhupada was very potent, very powerful. And they were listening with a pin drop silence. And then he gave a very nice lecture. Then we had a huge kirtan with perhaps, I would say, 500 young people in that auditorium, which is a lot for those days. Maybe more, maybe 1,000, I don't know, but it was a lot. And we just had a massive kirtan after that. And Prabhupada was so happy. It's just smiling. But he was grave at the airport. When we went to meet him at the airport, he was very grave, and he was saying, I want my big books distributed. At that time, we weren't doing many big books. There was the Krishna book that was printed, I believe, in Japan. And then there was the Bhagavad Gita, the original Bhagavad Gita, which was large. And Prabhupada kept telling us, I want the big books distributed. He said those are the most important because they'll stay in someone's library for a very long time. A magazine they might discard after some time. So the pressure was put on big book distribution. Anyway, while Prabhupada was initiating, he was actually giving class on the first canto. He was Krishna departs for Dwarka, and in there it describes Maharaj Yudhisthira as a great king, as a very qualified king, Raj Rishi. And Prabhupada was just talking about the real leaders of society. So there's a lot of political commentary in those classes. He's criticizing not modern day, the presidents and the prime ministers. He's just criticizing and, just really like destroying them. And then someone told Prabhupada during class or after class, but Prabhupada was commenting that they have arrested these boys and girls. Downtown Portland, devotees went chanting, big kirtan, and the police arrested them and threw them in jail. And their court case was the next day. So I don't know if they got a lawyer, but when they came in front of the judge chastised the police. He said, what are you doing, you nonsense? He said, these are just young religious people. Do you know what the Constitution of America is? The First Amendment is freedom of religion. It's a very strong, strong law. You can't persecute religious people. That's the whole America was founded on this idea of religious freedom and freedom of expression, freedom of religion, and so on. So he chastised the police, and he threw the case out. Case dismissed. And Prabhupada was saying, why are they harassing these boys and girls? I mean, we were all like kids. I was 20, just 20 years old. A lot of us were 16, 17 years old. And I said, why are they, harassing these young boys? He's very annoyed by this. So what are we doing? We're simply trying to spread love of God, What are they doing wrong? Go arrest some criminals. Lots of criminals in America. Lots. So that was the mood of Srila Prabhupada there. And unfortunately, it's 9:05, and they usually want to lock the door and clean up here. So we can have some more Prabhupada katha. It was very nice there, though. It was very, very nice time. We did kirtan in the park and so on. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.